It's a pretty good offensive recruiting weekend, huh? You surprised this early in the season?
No, I mean the 6:30 kick gives an opportunity to get some guys into town. I knew there was a couple guys that were trying to make it into town either this weekend or Michigan, and this being a 6:30 kick really worked out where they were able to get those flights set up. So good opportunity for sure. I do think the Michigan weekend's going to be even bigger, but good early opportunity for Nebraska.
Mm. Tim, I'm curious as you saw kind of how things played out last week, and we'll get back to recruiting here in a second. But as you saw how things played out last week with Nebraska on Thursday, and then kind of the rest of the world of college football, it felt like there was maybe a lot of, especially after a win, a lot of like hand wringing and panicking might be too strong, but some consternation about how Nebraska played. Did that did the rest of the weekend make you feel better or worse in context for how Nebraska played against another power conference opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I think immediately post game, I mean, I had my grades piece, and I was pretty harsh on specific units. I was pretty harsh on Dylan. I was pretty harsh on the defensive front. But after rewatching the game, sitting with the results through the weekend, watching some games through the weekend, and just coming out through the other side of it, and then it helps to, of course, kind of again, I tweeted it on Wednesday and or Tuesday, and I think you should generally agree if you actually listen to those press conferences. I feel like you should be pretty confident as a fan when
Uh,
you listen to Dana Holgerson and John Butler and the responses they have and the way they address the concerns in the defense and the fact that they clearly have answers and they know what needs to be addressed. I feel like you should be pretty confident in this overall unit, but yeah, I think coming out of it, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, most of the issues I had on defense are correctable mistakes and really mistakes from a young front that's trying something. They're trying stunts, they're trying, to get after the quarterback, they're trying something. But it's in the game plan. Essentially, the game plan by the second half was force Sorsby to beat you with his legs. And yeah, he got close, but he didn't do it. And I don't think he would have been able to do it just solely with his legs. And offensively, it was harsh on Dylan. You go back and watch, you get for the all 22 angle, you zoom out a little bit, kind of talk to some people about Cincinnati's defense too, and yeah, he did what he was supposed to do, and kept the ball out of harm's way. And yeah, you wanted to see more from the playmakers. It'll come. They have 2 weeks to kind of sharpen up. They'll get 2 weeks to kind of build that chemistry. I think a lot of people need to keep in mind this is game one for a new unit for the most part on both sides of the ball. Like there's a lot of like yeah, there's some continuity for sure, but this is still a very young team that is changing a lot on both sides of the ball. It's going to take a couple weeks for this unit, both sides, to look smooth. But I think I'm tending to lean coming out of week one, tending to lean towards the positives and the negatives.
I want to get to the press conference comments in a little bit because I think you're spot on there. I want to stick with the passing game and what Cincinnati was doing. Just as a guy, I mean, listen, I try to put defenses together every week. You could kind of see what Cincinnati was going to allow Nebraska to do and what they weren't. But to that point, as an offensive coordinator, you don't scheme touchdowns, right? You scheme efficiency, you scheme concepts. You want to move the football. You don't really, short of reverses or handoff passes, you're not. I get it. Those arrows never stop when you're putting the plays on the dry erase board. And to that point, I felt like Nebraska and Coach Holgerson got a lot of one-on-ones, right? Which is the ultimate goal of an offensive coordinator to get guys out in space with a defender. Like to that point, could you see schematically what Nebraska was attempting to do versus the looks that they were getting from Cincinnati?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think especially I'm trying to recall the exact. I think it's the second or third drive of the game where I was like, oh man, they're like two, three busted tackles here from like
House
scoring.
calls. Yeah.
Yeah, house calls. Like there was a couple of that throughout the game where it's like, okay, Emmett breaks one more tackle, they're in the end zone. Oh, Dane breaks one more tackle, they're in the
How
end
about
zone.
the
Oh,
Mosey sweep?
yeah, Mosey sweeps another one, like cut up field. If Cortez, if that ball hits him, kind of in stride, then right in the chest, and he has to fall down, there's an opportunity for some upward movement as well, so or some downfield movement as well. So yeah, I think there's some opportunity, and I think you see it. Like again, you can tell, you can hear the frustration in Dana, and I do genuinely. I've talked about it with our guys here inside Nebraska before, but I do genuinely appreciate the candidness we get from both coordinators this year compared to last year, the previous years, and even like previous staffs. I think Dana Holgerson is really blunt and really honest with the state of the program. He's willing to kind of let in and let you in on things that typically a coach may not. Defensively, I think Butler knows what he's looking for and knows exactly how a defense should attack, knows exactly kind of what he wants from his unit. I think you have to appreciate that, and especially Dana's kind of just frustration with guys falling down in practice and just the inability to kind of create explosive plays. He said, Nebraska's not explosive right now. It's not that they lack explosiveness. It's like it's a fact that the explosive playmakers aren't making those explosive plays right now. But that's, again, it's correctable. It's practice mistakes, and it's something that it'll come in time. I think again, these next 2 weeks are critical for this unit, both units getting comfortable with each other, developing some chemistry, and gaining some confidence.
Let me tell you. So, excuse me. I like the press conference answering angle, Tim, in terms of injecting some confidence into the fan base, because both Coach Butler doubled down, because both last week and this week he was very animate about. Remember last week it was, hey, this is the kind of front we want to be. This is how we want to play. I'll assess it. We'll decide if that's what we can do. It may be something I have to call differently. It may be a different way we have to play, but at least now we have the opportunity to go see it. He already in his head was telling us, this is what I want to try. This is who I think we can be. Now let's see if we can go out here and pull it off. But if I don't like the way it looks, or, there's some things that we need to work on, I'm not going to be caught totally off guard. Like I'm telling you, if it's not this, then it's going to be this, and that. He clearly said that in last week's press conference, which means I think he's weighed the contingencies, which is how you get better, right? You're not
right.
You're so locked in. You're willing to know that it may take this in addition to.
Right. And I thought it was really interesting that because he didn't say it before the game, he talked about the weapons, but after the game, he kind of just admitted he didn't really know what they were going to get from those transfer receivers, Cyrus Allen, Jeff Caldwell, those guys, what those guys really will present. There was a question there, and I do think he was pretty happy with. Obviously, you have to be happy with what the secondary did, but I do think it was like, hey, we legitimately shut them down, not well, it's not like they had nothing out there. I think he was pretty pleased with the fact that Nebraska was able to shut down those receivers, and that does bode well for down the line against some of these matchups they're going to face moving forward. Yeah, there's going to be Ohio State's different. The receiver is going to be different. Penn State's going to be different, but Michigan State, Maryland. I think Nebraska showed they can match up one-on-one with some of these, kind of dynamic receivers that they're going to face down the line by answering this first tough test.
We're talking with Tim Verghese from Inside Nebraska. Tim, I do wonder, we haven't talked a ton about the secondary because we've been freaking out about the O-line and the D-line and Dylan and whoever else. I say the royal we, not us specifically. But I do wonder because it's not like Nebraska was running the same defensive stuff that Cincinnati was, right? Where it's just, hey, we're going to keep 3 high safeties back and nothing's getting by. It's not like that's how they were stopping the wide receivers in the passing game, right? Like I was genuinely impressed. And we talked to guys from Cincinnati, right? They really liked this wide receiver core. Mm-hmm. Like they were very high on them and their ability to kind of change Cincinnati's passing game, which Sorsby put up decent numbers last year throwing the ball too. So I sit here and I wonder, I guess the question is, are we just not giving enough credit to that part of what Nebraska did and the way that can likely translate throughout the rest of the season, since they weren't I didn't think it was gimmicky. Like I thought they were just kind of lining up and covering.
Yeah, I don't think it's gimmicky, but I do think specifically what's not getting enough credit is the value of having 2 outside corners that you trust a ton. Sierra's there. Sierra's a guy they trust a ton. Andrew's there now too, and that Nebraska really hasn't had that second guy in a bit. I thought Marshall in the boundary, I think gives Nebraska some stuff, and I'm really excited to continue to watch his development against some of these tougher competition he'll face in these next coming weeks. But yeah, and then I think the unit overall, like they're playing faster, they're playing football. Like there's a lot of last year there was concerns with the secondary not playing fast, and yeah, there's members Buford and Singleton and Hartzog and obviously Sierra that are part of that unit from last year that are back this year. I think those guys, from what we've seen so far, are playing faster. I think they're reacting faster. I think they're triggering quicker. I think they're changing directions quicker. And it's through one game, so we'll have to see what this looks like again. Yeah, against the Ohio States and some of these elite DBs they'll face. But I think last week was an opportunity to truly build some confidence for that unit to kind of truly just hey. And I like that John Butler's put the guys in those opportunities. Hey, go down and press. Go be man up on these guys. Go learn. And putting Donovan out there in those situations, I continue to just be thoroughly impressed with Donovan. I mean, if you could see the Slack chats between me and Steve this whole week, it's been so much Donovan Raiola, so many Donovan Jones clips, and so many just like, hey, this just what is this going to look like? And I had this conversation with Steve. I don't think Donovan Jones is this caliber of player. But in terms of what you want in modern college football in a secondary, you're looking for the Brian Branch type guys. You're looking for the Caleb Downs, the Minka Fitzpatrick type guys, where you're entirely cerebral. You can line up in the slot. You can line up out wide. You're big. You're physical. You can tackle. You're position versatile. You can see the field from different places. But 2, you can get up in someone's face and you can cover. And 3, you can hit. And I think Donovan Jones does that. Yeah, he's not Brian Branch was a 5-star. Minka Fitzpatrick was a 5-star. Jalen Ramsey was a 5. These guys were 5-stars for a reason. But everyone in the NFL is looking for those type of versatile DBs that can line up at all 5 spots and can kind of be the alpha of a defense and lead a defense. I think Donovan Jones can be that.
I think where they're not getting enough credit is how they simplified the game for him too, right? The difference between him playing safety and playing a boundary corner is his role is clearly defined.
Yeah.
Listen, we play man to man, so we're going to play man to man. You're going to play closer to the line of scrimmage. You're to the boundary. You like to play physical. Some of those strengths are taken back when you're playing along the perimeter, where you maybe have two-way reads. You have to pattern match. You still have to fit down into the run game, where it kind of can take away from his skill sets. He looks like a safety in terms of his body, but not the simplicity, the directness in how fast he can play, being a boundary corner, frees him up to accentuate his strengths. I think you have to give some credit to the staff as well for saying, you know what, he's really good at this and this. Let's just let him do this and this, right?
Yes,
his role is clearly defined in terms of what he's doing.
Yes, exactly.
He doesn't have to think a ton.
Right, exactly. Because you think about it, and for a long-term perspective, hypothetically, you may want to get him in the weeds at safety or work him at safety and get him working there. I mean, my personal take right now is just I kind of wonder if he's just playing quicker at corner, where, like you said, there's not as much to process, there's not as much to read.
It's in essence always one gapping. If you look for an analogy.
Right. And if you have a good football player who can play fast in his specific role, but you want to move him versatile, don't overthink it. Don't do too much. Just get him like the Nebraska staff has done. Just get him in that role that he is playing fast in, and let him succeed.
Yeah, I like it a ton. Let me go back to what we're talking about with what you think Nebraska's adjustments are defensively. Whether they stump, they twist, they still want to get guys on the move. You think we're to the point now where they're seeing which guys can maybe do that? Is it a Pet Shock type? Is it a Hofkin type? Can we move some guys around? I still don't think they want to compromise the way they play, but maybe who's actually performing the tasks that they want to play right. That's the next level of their in-phase adjustments as coaches.
Right. Yeah.
Who can actually do what we want to do.
Yes. And I thought I thought game 1 there were some really encouraging reps from Williams and Renari and Deshaun McCullough. And I thought specifically with Renari,
I was impressed with McCullough's decisiveness in games.
Yes.
He wasn't always right, but he saw problems with aggression. He was right at a high rate of speed.
Yeah, there were a few stunts of his where I'm like, oh, they're getting a defense. They're getting a quarterback with that down the line this year. There's something where it's going to be a time this year where you're going to see Deshaun stunt like right up that A, and then you're going to see him just right in the quarterback's lap.
How about the late fits where they would hop into that under?
Yeah.
He just like when
I'm excited to watch it these next 2 weeks and these next few home games, from the stadium level because I wasn't in the stadium last week, but from the stadium level because from the TV copy and then from the All 22, I did appreciate how much Nebraska's defense, just in general, it's an NFL like you notice that from like John Butler's secondary at Buffalo and in the NFL in general they do it, but you notice it at Nebraska now they keep guys moving. Like the
oh yeah.
safeties and the DBs in general, it's just enough that the quarterback's eyes are a lit like they have to wait for post snap to know
And
what
that
they're
was
seeing.
their goal, right? They want to
Yes.
affect the quarterback pre-snap with what he's looking at. They move quite a bit. That I thought, especially in the All 22, probably showed this TV. One of the things that you don't get in a game one is when you fit in the run game, playing so much man to man with all the motion that Cincy did. You have to see it a few times to kind of gauge just how fast you can trigger, right? Because it's not like you're sitting in zone or you're seeing it the whole time, right? Rose Ivy and I were talking about it yesterday. When you play the way that Nebraska does, it's my fit, my man, right? So you have to always be cognizant on the fly of how fast you can trigger. The way that Cincinnati tried to slow Nebraska down from indecisiveness was with all the eye candy. I thought Nebraska, for what it was in week one, did a better job of than we give them credit for. But I still know, and Coach Rule said, right, we want them to still play faster than they actually showed.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of room for improvement, but I mean, we knew this going in. Cincinnati was going to test Nebraska in specific ways that was going to challenge them for future matchups. I think, they have a lot to work on now as a run defense and as a unit and what they can do fitting the run moving forward because you've got Houston Christian's going to be a nice little challenge next week in that department for Michigan. And obviously, I mean, Nebraska should have really not a whole lot of issues, kind of stuffing Houston Christian's run game, but they should, it'd be a nice little test for them. And then, Michigan's going to be Michigan. And, to win games in this conference, Nebraska's going to have to be able to stuff the run, going to have to be able to contain some really athletic quarterbacks. And yeah, they're not going to face. I thought Rule's comments on the Cincinnati offense was interesting. Yes, I don't think they're going to face an option attack necessarily, but you've got some uber athletic quarterbacks coming to town or on the schedule ahead. You've got Aiden Childs, you've got Bryce Underwood, you've got Malik Washington on the schedule. Drew Aller, is going to be able to extend some plays like that. That's coming. And I think Nebraska learning to contain and learning, and that's why I'm not super concerned because when you watch it back, especially in the second half, some of those contain breaks, it's just
I'm
Williams
just
and
telling you,
Amari. It's game one of
I don't
Williams and
put
Amari. He's
Underwood in
young.
the Underwood is not in the Sorsby category.
Just in the sense of just being able to extend plays, or what do you mean?
He can
Like,
extend. He's not gonna take off and run and punish guys like Sorsby
He's
will.
more Aller, where he'll extend a play to look, but he's not going
I
to.
don't know why we keep saying that about Underwood. Like he's just shown that's not really who he wants to be. I mean,
who he wants to be, I agree. I just think it's going to be something where, especially when it gets to a game like Nebraska, when it gets to
he
you,
may have
you may
to.
see it,
He ain't gonna be
we may
comfortable.
see it this week, right? When you see it this weekend, when you get to a game, only reason I say it is because Bryce's senior year, when teams were selling out against, to kind of prevent him from killing him with his arm, he did start to run a little bit and did run. Is an athlete to the point where yeah, he can harm you if he does escape the pocket, like that type of athlete. And it's maybe me just kind of projecting a few weeks down the line. I think Nebraska is going to be able to keep Michigan's weapons in check relatively to the point that Bryce is going to have to lean on his legs at some point.
Tim, as you're looking at kind of Nebraska's upcoming schedule, because I do think this is interesting. We've been talking about this a little bit this week. I do think that Sorsby is sort of unique, even amongst the other guys that we mentioned that he can either extend plays or are mobile or are going to run. Like, I don't think that there's that many guys on the schedule that are going to, as John Butler said, kind of just turn it into a high school game where they're like, hey, I just am going to have to take off and make plays by myself. Like, I think you've got some allers, like you mentioned, that can extend plays and kind of do that. Maybe Michigan State with Childs a little bit, but
even he's not really shown. Like I think Jonathan's,
right.
it's kind of just a coaching point from Coach Smith over there. Like I think it is just like hey, eyes downfield, take off if you need to, but if you're really not like we want you to throw first. Like they're really trying to get him to throw the ball.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have that many pro scouts there without that ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just I mean, from what he brings to the table. When you're looking at kind of Akron and what happened with their offensive line trying to settle in against Wyoming, Nebraska's obviously playing the long game, but they do need to improve on things that they weren't really good at from week 1 to week 2. How are you going to critique Fool's Gold versus progress?
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
think
the key, right?
Yeah.
right. Things they haven't done yet, I want to see them do. Like, hey, I want stunts to get home. I want linebackers to kind of be able to like diagnose, read, trigger, and get to the backfield quickly. Like, I want to see improved, like just marginal improvement, and I want to see just general. Again, I think everything that happens that can happen good for Nebraska these next 2 weeks is overall good for the program. Like I think any opportunity to boost confidence,
Yeah.
create an explosive play deep that builds confidence in Dylan, it builds confidence in the receivers, it builds confidence in the O line. Hey, let's get maybe more of a closer to not a 50-50 rotation, but let's get a little more Gatula out there. Let's maybe let Pritchett get his legs under him, and then let's really see this battle as it is against guys that both of these guys should dominate. Um, Defensively, like I said, I want to see some of these stunts get home. I want to see some of these linebackers trigger quickly and make plays. And overall, on both sides of the ball, these next 2 weeks, my goal, I want to see depth establish itself. Nebraska talks about depth, and Nebraska talks about being a deeper team this year. We didn't really see it at receiver or running back. Just in the sense that, yeah, they have the receiver, like they primarily played in Isaiah, Dane, Ja'Cory. We saw some reps of Cortez. We saw some reps of other guys. I want to see more. My prediction, I'm predicting a Quinn Clark breakout game. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see him kind of go out there and kind of just say, hey, I'm wide receiver 4 here. I like Rule said he's ready to cross the line. Show it, do it. And I'm ready to see Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey get some carries and earn some confidence. And then quietly, I'm looking at the tight end room. I thought Luke Lindemeyer had a really good day, but I think there was something left to be desired from Heinrich Harburg and Carter Nelson. I think, especially with Jenner and Bonner down, I think there's a need for Carter Nelson, Heinrich, Isaiah Mosey, one of those three, if not all three of those guys, step up and kind of take on that role in some capacity. I want to see them do that. I want to see them attack it. I want to see Nebraska challenge those guys in space, get those guys into positions to earn some confidence. And that's really what I'm looking for. And then special teams, yeah, keep earning confidence. I'd like to see, hey, if you're going to sell out to block a punt, get home, show that you can do it, and just be a sound unit. So I think there's a lot over these next, like, I think personally, I think I wouldn't read into individual really strong performances.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I think, Elijah Pritchett's going to be out there, and this is the type of competition that he's going to be able to dominate. Does that mean he should be Nebraska's starting left tackle for the foreseeable future? Not necessarily. Let's see how he does these next 2 weeks. If the practice habits are keeping up, if he's consistent, sure, go for it. But I think don't look at purely dominant tape from these next 2 weeks and say, okay, well, that guy's going to be the guy moving forward. Like, don't take Mekhi Nelson just broke off a 75-yarder. Maybe he should be playing a little. Oh, he's going to play when he needs to play because Nebraska still has a pretty good RB1, but that's going to be a good opportunity for Mekhi to build some confidence and a good opportunity for Nebraska fans to say, okay, we do have some running back depth. Same thing same thing defensively. Don't Williams and Renari is a freak athlete. Deshaun McCullough is a freak athlete. They're going to get home. They're going to do some stuff these next 2 weeks that they may not be able to do exactly against Michigan's offensive line. Don't get disappointed when they don't do that, but be encouraged by the fact that, hey, Nebraska has some defenders that can do some stuff, and as this year progresses, as they get more comfortable with each other, you can kind of see the potential. You won't have to squint to see the potential like you maybe did in week 1.
Tim, you brought up Pritchett at left tackle, and I'm kind of curious what you thought about that position from last week. Just when you're rewatching it, when you're watching all 22s, how do you think? I mean, obviously, Gatula got named starting left tackle in the press conference yesterday, but How did you think they performed at that position individually? Obviously, the false start on Pritchett sticks out a lot, but outside of that, how do you think they performed?
I didn't think any of the three had a banner day, but I didn't think any of the three really had the opportunity to get comfortable and settle in. I specifically thought Gatula, when I saw him, I was like, oh, this isn't the comfort of a guy that played as much as he did last year. This didn't look like a guy. He didn't look as comfortable as he did when he was the starter last year, and I think it's just a result of throwing it on the third drive. Every drive he was in was shorter. He did play the least snaps of the three, despite getting three drives like the other guys. Um, I thought weirdly, again, I know he gets a lot of blame and shit around this fan base. Turn Corcoran had the best day of the three, all things considered. And that's not, again, not high praise considering all three didn't have great days, but I thought he had the most consistent of the day. But a lot of the stuff with Gatula was like, oh, that's just if he's on the field a little more, if he and Henry Lutovsky are like playing every snap together, they communicate, and that doesn't happen, or that just isn't, like, there was a lot of that for me with Gatula. I mean, with Pritchett, it's like, yeah, it's minor it's mental mistakes, it's inconsistency, it's a lot of the same stuff that bugged me from his Bama tape. Now at left tackle instead of right tackle, but you can still see like there's potential. Like, it is one of the things that you understand why it's so tough for this program, for this coaching staff to officially call that left tackle battle, just because, again, if it does click for Pritchett at some point this year, if it does click for him consistently, the ceiling for this unit is significantly higher than with anybody else. But that said, I do think Gunnar Gatula is capable of anchoring this unit and, being enough, like, you know what I mean? Like, being good enough to keep Dylan safe and safe enough with the weapons he has. I do expect, this kind of operation. I think we saw that in week one. I think this offensive operation is going to move quicker through the pass game. And I think that's going to help the O-line in general. But yeah, just need to see what it looks like these next 2 weeks against kind of lesser competition. Ideally, would like to get this settled, or at least down to two people by Michigan, just so guys get an opportunity to get more snaps under them and get more comfortable. I do think the rotation at the line affected the entire offensive unit's ability to kind of settle into the game, because it felt like a new unit every time they were out there.
TV, let me get you out on this topical question based on what we saw last week with Bama and Ohio State. Obviously, one in a win, one in a loss, and this may be for different reasons. But who do you think your opinion will change on more at the end of this season? Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith? Whatever your opinion is right now, who stands to change your mind the most?
I think it's going to end up being Ryan Williams, just because. I saw Jeremiah a ton in high school. Like, I just truly just believe Jeremiah is like that guy. Like,
So you
I
put a
think
lot. You put a lot of last week on sand, or the fact that Texas has some pretty good freshman corners.
I put a lot on, Texas. Texas loves that Grayson Littleton kid. Like, they think that guy. They are pleasantly surprised with what they got.
But Jeremiah Smith is supposed to be. You know what? It's
right.
like,
And I agree. But I just think the way Texas's secondary played him specific. This is the second time they've done that, where the second time they've been able to kind of answer the Jeremiah Smith call. So yeah, like, I want to see what that looks like moving forward. I don't really have any concerns with Jeremiah Smith, the playmaker. Just because I know how he's wired and I know what he's physically capable of doing. I think week one I put a little more of that on Sam than Jeremiah, in terms of just not being able to break loose and get free. Ryan, it's not a concern with the physical ability. I think the physical ability is there, but given some of his limitations, like, he's not built like
just because of
Jeremiah.
his size.
Yeah, like, when you look the way you do and you play the way you do, you kind of have to be wired in the way Jeremiah Smith is, and I don't get the sense that he is.
Hmm.
And that's where I'm like, from a mentality standpoint, that's where my concerns are right now with Ryan Williams. And that's where I'm like, we could end this year being like, okay, yeah, he's a promising weapon, but he didn't have the, like, and we'll see. Maybe they change. Maybe Bama settles in. They change all of this quickly. But I think the one that I have the most chance of flipping my opinion on is Ryan at this point. And again, maybe it's just blind confidence. I know what Jeremiah Smith is, and it's terrifying. He's a terrifying wide receiver prospect. So yeah, I like, again, like Ryan's incredible. Ryan's a really good athlete and can do some things in space, but I just think what Jeremiah is capable of and all of that, like, again, you look at Marv right now, like Jeremiah, like, and what Marv was able to do in high school, like, and you talk to people around Ohio State and how they compare the two, it's like night and day. And that's insane considering what we saw Marvin Harrison do at Ohio State.
That's Tim Verghese, Inside Nebraska. Tim, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate you guys.